Bentley here, and this is Off-Road Grind and Bentley Custom Off-Road. We've got a great high clearance rear bumper that we're going to take you on a tour through today. This is something I built a few months ago. We put it through probably about a month of off-roading so far over the course of the summer, and we're going to take you on a quick tour of everything that's in there. And this whole video is about how to build that particular bumper. Steve here from Off-Road Grind, and I am super excited, a little cautious, nervous, but super excited to build a rear bumper for the 4Runner. I've been waiting to do this for a while. We've got the spare wheel over here. I'm going to mount that up on the back. It's going to cover all this stuff, and we're going to have to move things around. We're going to have a big tire swing out onto the right side here, and a fuel canister swing out with a high lift jack carrier, and we're gonna have some drop down tables in behind them. We're gonna move this jack receiver or hitch receiver up a little higher to give it this better departure angle clearance. We're gonna move the resonator, probably cut that right out actually, and just reattach the exhaust pipe to come out the rear and behind the rear wheel. So we just finished, if you haven't seen that video, it's in the collection of videos. Just finished this front bumper that I made. Just finished this last week. It took about 5 days to make it as I was going through trying to figure out sizes and angles and things like this. I kind of like this little cut back here. Most bumpers I see, they just come down straight, so I wanted to do something different. We got some nice little bars here. I'm gonna put bars on the back, but hey, enough of the front, let's go to the back. So we're gonna have some bars that are gonna come up here, big swing out. We already have the rooftop tent on the roof rack that I made, so that comes out perfectly over here. So we've got it all dialed in. Got the rock sliders. That was my first project actually. So now we're going to take this bumper off, and I'm going to go through some of those steps. I'm not going to bore you with all that. There's a lot of videos out there, but basically we're going to pop the trunk. There's a strip over there. Actually, let me pause the video, and I'm going to go get my keys, open this up, and we'll show you where we're going to hang back. So we're going to take these 10 mil bolts out. It's going to reveal this cover here. I'm going to take that out. Looks like a Phillips screw. Where is that? What is that? Maybe a hex or a Torx. I'll take that out. I'm going to pop these clips and 10 mil screws out. Take that mud flap off. That's coming off. And this whole thing's going to come back. I'm going to put this tow hitch light thing, where is that? Up here somewhere. I'm gonna put a little port in the back of the bumper. Anyways, that's the plan. That's what we're looking at now. And then this hitch is gonna come off anyways, because we're gonna start putting the bumper parts in there. I am going to cut all this stuff out of fiberboard. I use plywood for the front bumper, but I've got a lot of this fiberboard here I'm gonna use. I'm just gonna cut parts, pieces, trim them down, fit them all into place. And then I've got the steel. I think it's back here. Yeah, there's some steel that I've got, 3/16 inch. And then back here I've got some 3 pieces of 4x2 3/16 inch steel rectangular tubing. I'm gonna incorporate that into at least the swing outs, maybe parts of the bumper. But I'm excited. Got some great ideas for how I'm gonna make this work and look. But this whole thing is going to be replaced by steel. I'm going to angle it in, really increase the clearance. Super excited. Stay tuned. So I'm just going to go through the process of taking all these bolts out that I showed you. These ones down in here. If there's any that I need to get to in there, I'll let you know, but I don't think so. And I know there's going to be some underneath. So I'll just show you those. So here, there's another screw right up inside there. There we go. So that should come off. So find that out. Here's the other one. Passenger side. Oh, there we go. Okay. So it's just a snap and good. This is gonna pop off. I want to sell this bumper when I'm done, so I'm gonna have to wreck it. Okay. So the bumper has been removed. I'm super excited about how tight we're gonna be able to make this. I'm gonna move this trailer assembly electrical thing here up into this hole, and then I'm gonna chop that off so I can cut the angle across here nicely. Do the same on the other side. Oh, that was for the bumper, the white bumper, the bolts that I took out. Yeah, they're coming off then. I think there might be some bolts on the inside. Yeah, there is. So I'll just take those bolts off from the inside, drop those off, move this up into here, drill probably a couple holes for these guys up in here, feed the wiring through that back port there. Yeah, it's gonna be good. Oh, that's pleasant. I think it's that. Here, I'll get to that later. I'm having a hard time deciding between making it farther out here and less of a platform here, or pushing that in and having more of a platform when the back door is open. It doesn't matter when the door is closed because you can't see any of that. I'm going to get to that later, because what I thought, I'm going to be having a swing out bumper and spindle on each side. So I think right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause here in the middle because I'm stuck. I can't decide what I want to do. I know what I want to do here. I want to keep this, I want to have it coming out to a ledge similar to what we did on the front bumper. A ledge coming out here. It'll protect the wall a little bit, and I'm going to be putting some bars in here, probably some 1-inch square tubing, just like I did on the front grille headlight bars. I'm going to have this come down at a couple of angles because I want to keep it tight. I've already cut off this hanger that was here for the old bumper. I want to bring this down across to here and then keep it as high as possible. Maybe I'll have a little hole underneath this plate that I'm going to put in here for these body mounts. There's one on each side. You can see it over there. And hey, little guy. So I'm going to keep that pretty tight, but I think I'm going to do that right now. Work on this, curve it around the light, going to come out again, so they're going to carry that ledge all the way around to here, and that's going to give me an idea of where I want to put the bumper and how far out it's going to come. So jumping along in here, looking at having this up here like that. I don't know if you can see that. So I got this. I'm going to reshape this a bit, but I just want to make sure I don't cut off too much. And I'm thinking this is going to go here like that and angle in. So it's going to go up there like that. I think this one here is going to come down on the outside. I want to have about a 1/2 inch gap between the body, but right now I'm just looking for rough sort of sighting. So that's going to come down. I've got a bit of an angle here like that. So I want to bring this in as tight as I can. I just really don't want a lot of excess steel hanging out there. And that's going to go along there like that. And I'll have to bend there, or a weld, whatever. Let's just bend it for now. And down there like this. Oh, more Amazon stuff coming, awesome. So I wanted to make this as tight as I could get it and see what I didn't like about that. And this is drooping down here. Try not to stick too much tape onto the paint. So this is pretty good in through here. I'm gonna angle this out a little bit more, maybe put a little triangle in here or something. I'll figure that out later. Maybe it has to come out a little bit more of an angle there. I like that. That's going to go down. These are about 8 inches from here to here. I'm going to cut that off. Bring that down to here. and then it's going to shoot across there. That's probably going to stick out down a hole underneath a plate that I'm probably going to bolt up into there. This is where I had the hitch mounted. And then, as I mentioned before, I'm cutting that out, moving that out of the way, so I don't have to worry about those hangers. Okay, so I don't like this. That's too tight in here. This is as tight as I can go. So what I'm going to do is bring this out a little bit more, drop it down, and then figure out how I'm going to integrate it into the middle part. Now that I've got this, which I'm not happy with, obviously I don't like this. I got to have a little bit more of a wall here, so this is going to come out. I think now I'm going to go back to working on this main bumper face here, and then figure out how I'm going to tie all that together. So I need a place for the swing out arm on each side. It's going to come out to about here. So this is probably going to drop down straight, maybe just outside that, and I'm going to have a plate on the inside that comes out here. And then there's going to be a ledge here for the swing out, and then the bumper is going to carry on to there. So that's my next step. I'm going to start working on that. I'll think about that for a second, then I'll come on back with you when I figured out what I'm doing. Okay, jumping around a little bit here. Just don't want to plan things out too much and then forget about something. So I figured, I know I'm putting 2 swing outs on here. One on this side for the high lift jack, the fuel canisters, and the shovel. I want to keep them inside the tail lights, so I think that's going to be good. Here's kind of the halfway mark right here between the 2 and then the spare tire. I'd like to shallow out this angle and ideally bring it across here. I think, but I might have to keep it a little bit more square here to support the swing up. So I'll figure that out. But coming along, this will all tighten up like that. And then I might do a little bit of a relief here to mimic the curve of the fender. But I kind of like the flat look, so. Couldn't wait, took the resonator off. So I got a better look at the back. Man, there is just so much more room here now that that bumper's off. That really hung down a lot. Anyways, happy with how it's coming along so far. Still got a lot of work to do. The preparation is the most time-consuming stuff, so if you're doing this, don't rush through it. Just take your time, sit and think a lot, grab a beer or some water, a stool to sit on, and just sit there and look at it. And I find a lot of times I'm looking at something, I'm like, I don't like the way that looks. But if I rush through it, sometimes I get too committed because I've done too much stuff, and I might pass over and just say, whatever. But just do a little bit, sit and think about it, play it out, see if it's gonna work long term, like this, grabbing the swing arm. This is heavy, this piece of 3/16 inch 4x2, so it's gonna create a lot of stress on this area for sure, plus the tire on there and jamming down the road. So I want to make sure this is as strong as possible. So I don't mind losing this underneath here in order to create more support, but I'll figure that out. So anyways, have a great day and we'll be back in a bit. So this is the first side that we did, and I like it. It's coming along nice. And what I've learned in the past is do one side and then do the other one. And as you go along, you're more likely to incorporate some of the things that you wouldn't change on the other side. So this is the other side, a little tighter, a little cleaner going along, but I like the way it's coming together. We got used the bolt from the old trailer hitch to put that into place right now. Just keep it tight-ish. Okay, we're replacing the cardboard with the fiberboard and some plywood, attaching them with the bolts to try and get a nice snug fit up here. Still, I don't have it's still not steel, so it's going to sag a little bit like that, but I just got to keep remembering to lift it up into place when I'm actually, maybe I could get a little nut on there. Oh yeah, see if I have something that'll fit on there. That'll lift those wings up a little bit more, and then starting to put all this stuff into place so that I can work on the wheel areas. So that's where we're at right now. It's coming along nice. I'm going to round these off later, but just do that right now, just to keep the process moving along. Well, right on, I am done for the most part. I've got a couple of things to tweak, but I like the way it's looking so far. I just put the strap up because I wanted to pop it out of the garage, and I don't want to leave my garage open all night. I had the back end of the truck in the right up inside the garage so I could work on it easier out of the sun, but I've got to put a cap in here, and I've got to adjust this, but I'm going to wait until the whole thing is together. This might work depending on how things weld up, and if it doesn't, I'll adjust it later. I don't want to keep adjusting that and then it doesn't fit because things are changing. But wherever I see gaps, I'm putting little notes. Got to round those off. And just the strapping here to hold it up. This has got to get a little longer. Now, I was thinking of bending this, but I think what I'll do is I'll just change what's inside, bring this out. But again, I'll do that later, put that cap on there. The next thing I want to do is maybe try and reshape these a little bit. That's a big expanse. I don't mind it. I think it looks really nice and clean. But if I can come up with some angles, I see some bumpers. They've got some different angled cuts on there. If I can do that and have it look good, I don't mind making extra cuts. I gotta pop this strap off though because it's pulling everything out of shape. And then redo this a little bit. I think it's a little too far forward, so I gotta bring that back a tad, I think. And I'm gonna try and carry on this fender line somehow, maybe overlap some steel. Anyways, so I'm working on that right now. Okay, I was getting a little too fussy on the corners here, and then realized, you know what, this is all going to change once I start welding stuff in, and I don't need to make it perfect with the template at that time. I gotta shave that down later and make it perfect when I'm fitting it in. So I decided to get going with laying it out on the steel that I've got. So this is all the 3/16 inch steel that I had. These, whatever, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces were left over from the front bumper build. So that all that plus the front bumper came out of a 4x8 sheet of 3/16 inch steel. And then I got this at a scrapyard a little while ago, and I was trying not to use it, but I can clean that up. I'll just sand it down, take the rust off it, get it to bare metal, and then I'll be good to use that. Yeah, we're all set. So now it's time to, I think I've got everything dialed in. Now I'm going to start with the key pieces, which are the ones with the holes in it. So these two here, and then that one over there, and that sets the framing for everything else that comes in around it. Welding's coming along really nicely so far. Maybe I'm forgetting something, but we've got the side plates bolted on. Some really good attachment points down here. This is exactly where my hitch went. And speaking of hitch, I'll get to that in a second. I'm going to change it up a bit. So we got the side plates in, this middle one, there's another couple of great bolts there for that. Then the back plate went on. I just made the holes a good size so I don't have to jack around messing up the whole location. And then we're going to put some big zinc washers on here as well. And then the top plate, had to bash the tire carrier mounted down a little bit. They were too high and I wanted to get this square. So I wanted this nice and square, and I didn't want to add an angle. And I loosened these. These look like the old bumper supports. So I loosened those so they're loose, so they're not holding up this thing artificially. Probably going to put a separate strip of maybe 16 gauge steel across the back here and raptor line that, and then just bolt it in on the old bolt locations, but not mount it to this because I don't want to mount anything to the body that's welded to the bumper. We need to allow for some travel. So I got about a 1/2 inch in the back there. And now we're going to start working on the corner supports where the whatchamacallit's going to go. Tire swing outs, the swing outs, the hinges for the swing out. So this is as long as a piece of steel that I had cut. So I would have ideally liked to have probably had that line coming out there a little bit more, but I can always weld something on there. When I had the 4x8 sheet of steel cut, I was trying to picture how long the longest piece of steel would be, and I obviously missed this up by a couple inches. So hopefully that doesn't create too much of an issue. It shouldn't, because I've got a couple of other things in here that are going to be providing the structure for that swing out post. But anyway, hitching this. So this here, when you're putting some steel and unbolting this plate here, make sure the welds on the bottom part of the frame here are nice and smooth. They weren't here for me, and I had to grind them down a whole bunch on both sides. And even then, it was still, the way this was laying, I didn't like it. So I just put a slight bend, about 4 inches from the back here. So just this side of where the weld was causing an issue. I just put a slight bend, put it in my bender, and just squeezed it a bit on both sides, and you can see that just comes along there and then just rises up slightly. So again, not going to be an issue with the install. And I was tempted to bring the back part of the bumper in line with the face here as it curves along, it comes across here, but I want as much support and space here to put steel to support the hinge, the swing out hinge, as possible. And if I brought that in, that would really be reducing the amount of clearance and area that I've got to work with. And I've got some pretty big swing outs and a lot of stuff I want to put on them. So I don't want this swing out to be too jammed up into the car. As it is, it's going to be pretty tight because of that light's going to come down there. So anyways, that's where we're at right now, and I like the way it's coming together. And what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of like 27 pieces I've got cut. So coming along, not too bad. Between a quarter and a fifth of the way. Little catch up or update. I really like the way this is coming together. So we've got the bottom panels in, and the bolts for the center. We got the face of the bumper, we put the top on. This was arcing down a little bit, almost half an inch. So I got my jack underneath here and just pressed it up, put a bunch of wood in there and just flexed it up. It's already welded there, so it wasn't going anywhere. And I just flexed it up, brought it back down, so now I'm pretty close. And then this is the start of the kind of the corner area. I'm going to be putting a piece of metal across here, but I'm going to fill the gap with that. Right now though, what I want to do is start working on this piece here. So the piece with the that's going to have a light in it. And hey, thanks for following along on the journey for the rear bumper build. We got a lot done yesterday, and all the under parts, the back face, the top, the shackle mounts, the start of the corner, and now we're working on the post. I'm going to call it the post. I'm going to put a light in here. I've already shaped that out and just about to weld it into place, and I thought I'd just come over and show you kind of what I do. So I'm going to get this bracket in now, because if I try and do that later, it's going to be way more difficult to weld that in there if I've got something pulling around here. I can access that later, but certainly for finish welding it. But right now I'm going to put some tack welds in here. In areas where I think I'm going to have a hard time finish welding, like back up in here. I did that yesterday just in case it's, you know, tight in here for me to get in. But for this, just reaching in from the back, going across there. Maybe that bottom corner might be a little tricky, but I think I'll get it. Anyway, so we're just about to tack weld this into place. I'm going to do the same on the other side. And then we get to start working on the wing and the wheel well. I got some funky things to do here for the kind of carry on this line of this fender flare here. So hopefully I don't mess that up because I don't have any steel to work with if I do. But I think I'm going to get some more anyways. I've got somebody that wants me to make him a front bumper when I get back from Colorado. And I've got a skid plate I need to make for a TRD Pro. So Anyways, here we go. So I haven't seen this before, so I'm thinking this is going to be pretty cool. So I'm going to take this piece of steel here. This is just a template. It's a little short, so I added 2 inches on here. And I'm going to bend it. That's where the 2 inches comes from in the end. I'm going to bend it like that. And then eventually I'm going to have a little triangle piece here that comes down, and then a little bit of a inside fender liner there. But this is going to be pretty cool. So it's going to be hard to see from this angle right now, but the line of the wheel well is going to carry down through this bend and into this bottom panel, and I think it's going to look pretty cool. For this side panel that I want to have this little bend in to mimic the flare of the wheel well, I think what I'm going to do is bend one side, so the side that comes along and then bends out and then bends in again to follow to the front of the bumper, the back of the wheel well. I think I'm going to bend this side and then cut it along the next line, because I don't think I'm going to be able to bend both of them in the bender. I might be able to get away with it on this one, I'll try, but on the other one for sure, because it's coming to a point, I just won't be able to get that. So I want to get a 45-degree bend, so what I'm going to do is I've got my angle finder on here, set at 0, and I want to get to 22.5, and that should give me a 45. So this is so handy when it comes to creating angles and getting metal to get into a position that you want. So I just really like this thing. There we go. And then I'm going to try and bend this one, but it probably might cut it along here. So it's going to be in there like that. And there's the next cut line, or bend line, and then it's just going to bend back to the front like that. Hey, it's not like 105 degrees out right now, it's only 80 something, so this is pretty awesome first thing in the morning. I want to give you a quick update on the bumper side panels here. So what I've done is I bent this here, I cut that, you know, and I'll weld that all in here and smooth it out. It'll just be a nice transition. Mess this up a little bit, and then tried to bend this here. But as it got thinner, it stopped bending. So I had to actually, instead of trying to bend it to there, I actually went up to there, and that kind of did the trick. But you know, I'll try and, I don't think it'll bash in, but I'll try and hammer that a little bit, push it in a tad. But if that doesn't work, then I'm just gonna weld it all up and grind it smooth, so it'll be good. But I like the transition here between these angled pieces, right? We got a 12 and then maybe another 8 degrees here, and then this is straight, so I wanted to transition from this angle into that, so that's where the bend is there. Just about to drill the hole here for the spindle, and then I can finish all this off. I might pop a little triangle piece in here for more support, but I'll do that when I get the bumper off the truck. I've got this little template jig here set up, so if I just put that on there like that and move it down till it's flush, that's the same angle as the other side. So I cut that cardboard out on the other side, so I wanted to have the same exact angle, and that's how I did that. So, but anyways, what I think I'll also do is, because we want to leave a gap in between the body and the lighting here and the bumper of at least a ½ an inch. So I've got a ½ an inch back there, it gets a little bigger there, and then goes down to, probably have to trim this a bit. I'm going to paint the back side there black before I finish everything up, so that it's just a better look. Because I want the gap to protect the body from the bumper flexing once it's attached to the frame. And the body is attached by these body mounts here, so there's going to be a difference in flex, and if you don't leave that gap, you can pop fender liners. So you can see I cut that out there around the fender, still get it close. But anyways, that's kind of where we're at right now. Jumping around a little bit, but I want to get this spindle in, so I know that's not going to be too complicated. and difficult, and I want to be able to get it in before I start welding these panels in around here. So that's where we're at this morning. So I'm just drilling through here, put a little punch mark on the steel, just getting this going. Now that I've got the hole going, I got some cutting oil, so I'll pop that on there. I was hoping though that this handle was going to rest up against here, because when this catches, it torques around, almost rips. This drill is so much more powerful than my drill press, and I was hoping it was going to lean up against the steel of the bumper, but it's not. It's leaning up against the light. So I'm hoping I don't run into problems with that. I'll just have to try and not have it catch. Because if this drill shoots my hand into that, that's going to hurt like snap. Gotta get this through here. Awesome. Drill? Oh yeah. Okay, it's working. Let that cool down. Okay, I got it finally. So the drill cooled down. This is a super tight fit, which is perfect. And so the way it worked is I just put that in there like that and held it up against the thing, and then just drilled through, and that created a pretty good stable base. It was catching a lot, but I got it done. While I was waiting for the drill to cool, I went over on this side and got this panel in, so that's awesome. And with all that effort putting through that one sheet of anchored steel, I'm not looking forward to drilling a hole in this top cap. But I'm going to get it done. I want to go over what I'm doing here to level out that swing arm. So I'm not really sure where I'm going to have the position of the swing arm. Do I want it flush with the bumper, or do I want it to come out a little bit so I've got some more room behind it? This is 3/16 inch 4x2 square tubing. So it's going to be plenty strong enough. If what I'm thinking is having it come out at an angle here quickly, and then have it go along the face of the bumper, but this side is level with that side of the bumper. And what I'm going to do now is just set up this collar so that it's perfectly level with that tubing. And so this is the height that I'm looking for, and this plate's going to come up and catch the bottom corner of that. I'm going to weld up underneath there, create some good structure on the bottom, eventually weld this, and then weld it again at the top plate. So now my next step is to cut the swing arm to length for the tire carrier, do the same thing for the other side, get prepped for having that spindle in, and then cope out this here. I'm going to cut that at an angle so it fits flush around here on each side, and then take this off and put it like that, basically trace a line, cut that out, it's not going to be too hard, and then weld the swing arm to the collar. And then when I'm ready to start welding this in, put all the bushings in, or bearings I guess they're called, and then that'll set this perfectly in line with the spindle. And the spindle is going to be, whether it's vertical or not, it's where it needs to be in relation to this, so then I can weld it into place. So that's my plan for that. But I do think I'm going to cut this, like make a little V notch here, and weld that all together and allow that to come out a smidge and then go along, and that will give me the clearance behind this thing. Sweet. So Here is the finished coping. I am really happy with that. Now for this swing out, what I'm going to do is put a 2x2 tubing here. The latches can go onto on the face of this, each swing arm, and then extending out a little bit for the stop, that polyurethane stop to go onto. So that'll be perfect that I can have this coming out. So for the angle though, what we want to figure out is, okay, what's the difference between these two, or what's the angle from there? Getting 20 degrees there, so maybe it's 10. But still, I don't know if that's enough. We'll find out. That's going to be good. I like it. So what I did is just cut that little V notch out as 8 to 10 degrees on either side. So a total of, I don't know, 15 to 20, 16, 17 to 20 degrees. I wanted it to come right out here where that little triangle is, and then carry along straight until, you know, I want the tire swing out to end. So what I'm going to do is get all the fuel canisters and the traction board to figure out how long that it needs to be, and then put the tire back up again. I think I have the mark on here, or maybe it was the other one. Of course I wanted to make this on the inside and totally forgot, so now it's on the outside. Dang it. But got the angle right, so that's cool. Sawhorse is a little high on that end, but it's going to work out perfectly. So that's the angle I'm looking for. And I'm gonna cut this to length and then do the same thing for the other swing out carrier. This is 3/16 inch steel, so what I ended up doing to bend it, because there's no way I'm gonna be able to torque that over by hand, is I just laid it on the ground here, wedged it up on the curb, and just jumped up and down on this sucker until it bent. So I'll just jam that in nice and tight, put a couple of tack welds into it, weld it up. It'll be as strong as it was before, almost. So I'll do the same for the other side. Let's figure out how big I want these to be. And then I'll start working on drilling these top plates and the bottom plates. I'll weld all that up, and then I can finish the swing outs. I'm thinking today or tomorrow I'm going to get all that done. So I really want to make sure I get that joint nice and tight, so I just popped it up on one end on some bricks, the other end on a box, just to create some leverage. And when I stand on that, just want to make sure it's not at a weird angle. So it's got a straight edge, that's perfect in line. So and that is solid. So I will finish welding that later. But nice to have that all done. So I'll do the same with the other swing out once I get the distances figured out, and we're good to go. Quick update. So we got the swing outs sort of in. I haven't welded the spindle in yet. What I wanted to do is put the swing outs on, brace them with an inch spacer. I've got this for the latch down here, so this is going to be, I'm just waiting for the stops, those polyurethane stops that are going to go here and here. And now that I've got the arms in the right position, I was thinking I'd go backwards. So start with the arm and then work my way back to the spindle to because this is where I want the arm, rather than weld the spindle and then hope I get it in the right spot. So going with this strategy, getting the swing arm in the right position, and then moving back and then welding this in place. So I could weld that right now, but I want to cut the holes and get it all ready to go in case I need to take this out in order to find out a hole or something. I think I might need to with the top plate, so I'm just working on the bottom right now. So I just placed it up underneath, trace a bit of a line, find the edge here, center edge, and then work my way into the middle to find the center of the hole that I want to drill. This is going to have to be a little bit bigger because it's going to be coming in at an angle. So I'm thinking with that step bit, I'll just go to the top ring rather than the second to the top, and that should do it, I think. So what I'm doing right now is just setting up my workbench. I'm going to press it up against the wall and drill that hole. Do the same thing for the other side. Then I'm going to work on the top plate that goes across here. Is the third place that I'm going to put a weld in around the spindle. But with that, as I think I mentioned before, I want to have this pin here, and the top plate, I want to incorporate little holes for the pin to drop into. So here, kind of 50% open, and then 100% open, probably going to be over here somewhere. So that's the strategy. I know I am filthy and dusty, but I'm having fun. Check it out. This bumper is coming along so beautifully. I'm going to take you on a quick tour. Got the tire carrier welded on today, so here's some design ideas I put in there. Actually, you'll probably be able to see it better from the other side. I wanted to carry the wheel fairing line down on the bumper, so I just sort of carried this in. This has all got to get welded in and sanded out, but this is pretty cool. We got the swing outs. These are so solid. There's a polyurethane bump stop in here, and then we've got these locking levers that, we've got a pin here that allows it to come out. So this one's going to have a fuel carrier on it. I'm going to make a little box frame and put that on tomorrow. This is the backup camera, or backup sensor. If it's not working, I'm ripping it out. It hasn't been working. And then we've got the same thing here on the tire carrier, so that pops open. Just threw this on, so I gotta get some lug nuts on there. But looking pretty good. Pretty excited about how that's all come together. I'm gonna be putting some floodlights in here, sand those down a little bit. I'm gonna paint that in black in behind there. I want to leave a little bit of a gap for body flex when you're bumping down the road or bumping down the off-road. But there's a rear high clearance bumper so far, and I cut my resonator off, and I'm gonna weld the pipe back in behind the rear wheel there. So anyways, that's just a quick update. Hopefully that's if you're into metalwork and off-roading, that will be exciting. If you are not, that's boring, but I'm having a lot of fun, and looking forward to buzzing away with Michelle in a few weeks to Colorado for most of July, off-roading, hiking, fly fishing, mountain climbing, mountain biking. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Have a great day. Bye. Okay, we're just about to start the welding process. I think I've got everything that I want on here done. Took the swing outs off because they're pretty much completed. I've got a platform here for the high lift jack. I've got another little platform attachment here for a shovel. I'll show you that later. The pin locations, got those all fixed up. Got the locking cover for the fuel cans all welded in. I just have to do some final welding on that, but I can do that later. The bike trailer hitch mounted higher so we get better clearance, and then we've got the bike or the tire carrier, and I've got a ladder and another hitch to build for somebody before we go away on vacation. So what I'm thinking is hit it with maybe half the welds out here. I want to get some weld on there before I pull it off. I don't want to weld too much of it with it not attached to the bumper, because if it starts moving on me, that's still going to be unfortunate. So with it attached to the bumper on the sides here and in the middle, I think that's going to give some pretty good structure. So when I start laying down some weld on there, it'll be pretty solid. So it's going to be less likely to move around from the heat of the welding. So anyways, I'm going to cover up the spindles because I don't want splatter getting onto those and making the bearings hard to get on there. Pop the back tailgate so I don't get splatter on the back door and the glass, because that just eats into the glass so quickly. I do have a fiberglass blanket that I'm going to use when I go around to the side. So when I start welding up these side panels, then I'm just going to throw this over top and drape it down so the paint's protected. I left it out yesterday quickly when we went to church. I came back, it was pouring rain, so it started to rust so fast here in Houston, so that's unfortunate. So I was doing a pretty good job of avoiding that. But yeah, just any little amount of water on this thing when it's bare steel, it just rusts up so quickly. And here's the slides. I just wanted to have a better transition between the slides, so I'll clean all that up after I weld it all in. And grinding is not a fun part of this job, that's for sure. But anyways, all part of it. So I'm gonna get welding and get it all completed. Got a bunch of welding done, and this is all gonna get ground down later, so not too concerned about it. But I just wanted to get a bunch on while it's actually still on the truck and bolted into the frame at the bottom. So now I'm just unbolted it, and now I want to see if I can't get it off the bumper easily and find out how that goes. And then I made some pencil marks here, there for the trailer lights, and there, I don't know if you can see those, for the water tank port fill and vent lines. And they're going to come in through these little holes here, through the frame. Pretty good. Okay, so now it's off. I can start welding it up and get the truck out of the way. Finish that welding and then start grinding and getting it ready to coat. I'd like to get a coat of primer on tonight. So thanks for watching so far. I'll be back in a bit. Cheers, bye. But one of the things I've been trying to figure out right now is I want to put the license plate down on the swing out here on the right hand side underneath the tire. It's going to go on the tire carrier over there. There. And I'm trying to figure out, and I am not an electrician, so I'm trying to figure out how to tie into the wire. And so what I just decided to do is pull the tail light out and figure out, I believe it's this green wire and this white wire with the black line on it. This is a 2007 4th gen. So if I take these two doohickeys, needles for this multimeter, I'll try to do this with one hand, and that's the ports that they're in, and I jam those in there, I'm getting like basically no reading. Okay, now if I go turn the headlight on, I would expect that those would be the wires. Plink. Switch turn the headlights on. So we've got the tail lights on, and I want to activate this little job here. It's going to be my light. More thing. Then I should see this jack up to about 12 volts. Ooh, bang! Ooh, yeah. Awesome. So that's the wiring that I need. And then just to be sure, I can take this light here, and there's the light. Awesome. So if I just tie that into the tail light there, and try this one more time with the headlights off. Now this should not light up. I just cannot believe how hard it is to find wiring information on 4Runners. So there we are. No light. Headlights are off. Perfect. So, quick little idea. If you're looking to put taillights on because you're relocating your license plate, like I'm going to have mine down here, then that's probably the easiest way to do it. I'm just going to scotch lock one of these little guys in here and to tap into those, run the wire down, probably try and come out through here. I want to come out a little lower. I don't want it to come out, although maybe I will. I don't know. I'll figure it out. But there's some floodlights for the back. But that's how we're going to do that and how you can find out your wiring. So if you got a 2007 4th gen, looking for the wiring thing, that white line with the negative, with black is apparently the negative, and that kind of cool green color there, solid green, is the power for your headlights, or license plate lights from your headlights. Cheers, bye. Good morning, Steve Bentley here, Off-Road Grind, and we are getting the 4Runner ready for our trip to Colorado in about a week and a half. Waiting for some Raptor liner tint because I'm dumb and bought tintable Raptor liner, but I need black. I have one bottle of black. I have 2 bottles of tintable, but I need the toner, so I got a couple bottles of tint. Anyways, this is all ready to rock and roll. I've got two coat of primer, 2 coats of enamel on it. Well, I got way too focused on coating this, and I totally forgot to take video through this whole process. So I'm gonna overlay some voice here as you're watching some of the pics. And really all I did is I put, as you mentioned, those 2 coats of Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer on it. I love that stuff. Don't like the look of it. It's orange, it looks horrible. But then the enamel coating, just to really prepare for what we're doing right here, is the Raptor liner. And once I've got this 2 coats of Raptor liner on, I like to get it out into the sun and just bake in for as many days as I can. Try and heat it up and harden it. If you get it up over 85 degrees, it gets really hard. So this is all installed, all the components are on. I changed out the fuel carrier, as you'll see in a little bit. But I just love the way it all came together. It looks awesome, and it's so functional. So here's the bumper that we just took you through. This is the final version. This is a few months after I've actually made it. I'm going to show you a couple quick little things that we changed up on it from the build. Initially, when I built this, hopefully you can see that, I actually had some metal strips in here, and I've changed those. I had like a metal panel through here, but I changed that and put this rubber coating in. Got that on Amazon. Not too expensive, but really useful stuff. And I just used some clips and screws in there just to put it in. The other side didn't have this liner in there, but it came out really nicely just the same. So that's that. We've got a Raptor liner or bed liner finish on it. These lights are great for backing up at night. As you can tell from the build, this isn't the fuel carrier that I had in there. The fuel carrier I put in initially, I didn't have this steel, so I just threw it together with 1-inch steel tubing. But I like this better. I like this style better. This is lighter, a lot easier to get the cans in and out of. And yeah, I just think it's better. We've got our high lift jack mount here, and I even put a WeBoost system in the car since the summer. So we haven't been on a big trip with that, but I think that should work out great. It's already seems to be working out really well. And then I also put in, I'm going to open this up in a minute, but I put this ladder in as well. Pretty low profile because I wanted to have this swing out back there. So there's not a lot of room. I just changed the design since I made this myself. It was pretty easy to do. I just had it coming in a lot tighter to the truck. Great for jumping up there when I've got the tent up there and I need to get up on the roof to fiddle with that or put something up on the roof. So anyways, let's open this thing up. We've got some locking latches here. So these are great. They got a little lock in the back. Just pop those open. And then there's a pin on each side that locks the tire swing out in place, and then also locks the fuel carrier. So I'm gonna pause the video for a second because I need both hands to open that up, because I've got to lift the pin and pull on the swing out in order to get those open. So I'll be right back. So there's the bumper all finished, opened up, and this pin is actually in place here to keep the high lift jack from swinging around into the side of the bumper. This is a perfect site. I'm going to get some, I'll open the back door in a second, but just wanted to show you the build out here. We've got the trailer wiring harness in the back of the truck. We've also got a water access port. So this actually, I'll have my water line for our water tank that I can put up in there. And that actually fits right up where the old spare tire was. And I have a little water line that comes out here, and I have a quick connect, and I plug it into the shower system that we use. So that works out really well. And the swing out for the tire, we've got the rear light hooked in here for the license plate. These are just little magnetic mounts that worked out pretty good. And then this is the 2x4 rectangular tubing that we used for the spare tire mount, and I just put some 2x2 tubing in here. It's just at a 45-degree angle to strengthen that up. And then this is the hitch mount for our bike carrier. I wanted to get that higher, so that actually sits up about here, which is way higher than the old trailer hitch that we had, which was way down here relative to the old bumper. So this is a whole lot nicer. Let me grab my keys, open up that back door, and you'll see the clearance for the door opening up. Okay, so just pop the door open, and with the high lift jack up here, it comes up there, and this little cutout here on the door just misses the jack nicely, which is great. And then we also got clearance here just a little bit for the tire as the door opens up. So that works out great, and it's really, handy to have all this stuff together right in one little spot. So when I'm cooking, I can pull this out. This is our stove system, so we've got that in there, and our pots and pans are up in here, which is great. Our Iceco fridge freezer fits there, and I'll do another video on the second battery 12-volt system that we put in here, but that works out really well as well. Yeah, everything's just coming together so nicely. Fire extinguisher in there, it's always important to have, especially when you're cooking with fuel. So there's the build. I think it worked out really well. Really happy with it. We were up in Southwest Colorado for 3 weeks this summer, doing some pretty heavy off-roading. This worked out great. We had 100 pounds of bikes and trailer hitch up here and bouncing around, but we just had it all strapped down, so it got pretty tight, which is great, but never any problem with clearance. The bumper's super high in the back. It's really strong. It's all 3/16 inch steel, as we talked about earlier in the video, across the back. This 3/16 inch steel and tubing for the swing outs. And I put a bit of 10 gauge, I think, in some of the side panels, but some 3/16 as well. So awesome bumper. The bumper itself weighs about 160 pounds. It is not light. It is a tough piece of steel back there. And then each swing out is about 50 pounds. And then that tire is 85. So not a light build. I'm looking for durability. I could always go lighter, but the jacking around with the truck jumping back and forth, you can get a pretty light piece of steel back there, but it's gonna fatigue and wear a lot quicker than something heavy duty like this. So anyways, there's the build. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching the video. If you have any questions, please ask. And if you're interested in catching more videos like this, like and subscribe, or just come back and visit the channel sometime. Have a great day. Bye.